On the Choose to Think podcast, I will encourage and empower you to engage and optimize your best thought life in practical, meaningful ways so that you can live day by day in joy, peace, and God's purpose despite all externals. This is Victoria, and welcome back to the Choose to Think podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there, Brain Changer. Now, this is another one of those bonus episodes that I'm putting out every Monday based on organic and engaging conversations with other Brain Changers on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is an audio chat, and people can come and go as they want. So you're in for a real treat. Special guests featured on today's show are Lanette Kowalchuk, I think is her last name, Ruth Simpson, Bonnie Davis, Katrina Dorroh, Rebecca Wilcox, Monica Thelmas, and Josh or Jose Osbey. So please stay tuned as we discuss the time mindset. And listen, don't miss the free PDF. It's a one-page cheat sheet that contains all of the amazing tips that are shared in today's show. I put them in a one-page printable just for you to kind of help you prioritize your time, get things straight. So many good ideas, practical tips, and tricks to help you develop and foster a positive time mindset. Now, without further ado, let's go. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. I need help with time management, and I am so hoping that you ladies have some tips and tricks for me. And I couldn't be more serious about it. And I don't know if you've ever felt like you've been in a season of life where you're having so much fun, but yet you are just like going in a gazillion directions at once. And that's kind of what I've been feeling like these days. It's like I've got so many things to do. My task list is like long, and I do call it a get-to-do list though. And it's long, and it's fun, and I love everything that's on it, but sometimes I struggle to manage my time very well. I would love to get a list going. I love lists of maybe like tips that you would like to share or things you do to really take control of your time. You've heard it said that time is such a priceless commodity. We all have the same amount, but how we manage it is so different. And I want to be a good steward of my time. But sometimes, as I was saying earlier, I really, really struggle with this. I'm just asking for us to have a mastermind here and try to figure out some really good techniques or tips, best practices that you all do to be really good stewards of your time. So Rebecca, hats off to you. We're going to start with you, girlfriend.
Oh, thank you. This has been something I've worked on a lot, and I do with my clients, because I realize if it's something I struggle with, there are other people that struggle with it too, right? And so I keep tweaking it and fine-tuning it, and what I share now is not what would work for every person, because you've got to customize it to work for your particular needs, your particular day. But one thing I definitely do is in the mornings, during my morning routine with my prayers and meditation and journaling, I then time block. I figured that out and found that works so well for me. And I don't put down absolutely everything I need to do. I started doing that, and I didn't put in any breaks for lunch or going to the bathroom or anything else. And I thought, okay, this isn't how this is supposed to work. So I don't have the full time blocked off, the full day blocked off, but I do have those most important things to me that I need to accomplish blocked off. And when that time goes off in my phone, I don't do anything else. Just like I time blocked today with you, Victoria, because last week I didn't do that. And yes, something else came up. And I love being on Clubhouse with you and listening to you and other ladies and other men just gleaning great nuggets. But it's got to become important enough that you are going to focus only on that one thing and not anything else. I also use Mondays now for writing. That is the day that I want to write. And that's also the day that at the before the first of the month, I use to schedule my social media out for the month. My topics, and then also the quotes and the affirmations, because if I'll go ahead and block that time and do that, then it's not filling up the dailies that you can find yourself coming up against, because, oh no, I haven't done that. Oh, I've got to get on my computer and get that done. But my biggest tip would be to start time blocking small. Just take baby steps with it. Tomorrow, just time block 3 things and do only in that time, only that and nothing else. And that's my biggest tip for y'all today. And that's it for Rebecca.
Thank you for that, Rebecca. And I have a question, though. I try time blocking, but where do you put your phone? I guess that's the bottom line for me. That's my question for you. Where do you put your phone? Because I will turn my phone over, but it's within arm's reach, and my phone is on silent already, except for my family members, and that goes through on that emergency ring system or whatever it's called. So I've got all of my family members. They can reach me at any time, and I'm going to hear it. But otherwise, my phone is on silent or like vibrate. So I turn it over, but then all of a sudden I'll hear bzz, just that little vibrate sound. And it's so tempting to want to stick my hand out and grab it and look and see what's going on. And so where do you put your phone when you're time blocking? Do you have it in another room, or is it not really a temptation for you? Or do you just have, that self-control going, or where do you put it?
Okay, so if I'm in my time block time, I have it on Do Not Disturb. But otherwise, then I take that off so I do get my alerts, because if I'm just working on something else, let me suggest this. If you prefer to have your phone off for most of the day, how about getting a sheet of paper? I mean, I can even share mine that I created for doing time blocking, and just have that sheet of paper with you. And then you can glance over at it and you can go, oh, okay, now in an hour, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And because that's how I did start was with my time block sheet, because I love to write things out as opposed to just having them in my phone. Does that make sense? Rebecca out.
Yes, it makes sense, but what I mean is not that my phone is where I, would block out my time or set my reminders. I do have reminders on there, but what I mean is it's tempting for me to go to my phone, and I don't know whether it's just I want to look at, a notification from Facebook, or maybe I've been trying to help someone in Facebook Messenger, and I see, there are 3 messages there. Maybe I should answer those very quickly. It's like I need to hone in and practice on really focusing, like you said. So I can do a time block for sure, and I can say, okay, for this hour, I'm going to write. For this next hour, I'm going to work on a click funnel or a product funnel. And I can do all of that. But if my phone's there, I'm tempted to grab it a lot more than I really should. That's what I'm talking about. So does your phone not tempt you then? And maybe this is just my problem. I'm not sure.
it's a muscle. It's just a muscle you have to strengthen, right? Just like our prayer muscle and our gratitude muscle, our positive mindset muscle. It's a muscle that, and a suggestion when you're wanting to help somebody work on something, say, respond and whatnot and say, now I will be back here in an hour or in 2 hours. I've got some, that way you're not leaving them in a lurch, but you're setting a boundary, because what is something that can really get hijacked, and I think that's what you're struggling with, is you're letting other things hijack your time, right?
Exactly. And, I think back on Jim Quick and what he says about your morning routine. Matter of fact, he doesn't even pick up his phone, I think, for the first hour. And because he says what happens if you pick up your cell phone that first golden hour of the morning, you are spending your moments responding. You are answering emails, going to your notifications, responding to messages that you have, and you're allowing other people essentially to tell you what to do next. And so it's like time is just slipping by that way, and we're not really controlling it. And I have that struggle. Now, I do have the discipline of when I first wake up, I'm like, Lord, you are first here. And that is when I do my devotional and I do my writing and my journaling and my prayer time. And I'm pretty firm on that, and I don't go to my phone. It's just that after that, when I get into some of the other things during my day, that I start being tempted to go to my phone more than I should. And it's like my mind is all over the place. I feel like sometimes I have about 200 pots on the stove, and I run from one to another, to another, to another, to another. And, oops, this one is boiling over, better turn that one down. And, oh, this one's run dry, better put the more water in this one. And anyway, it could be also, this is such a new season of my life for me. And like I said, I'm having a blast. To me, all of this is so much fun. There are so many things that I'm enjoying and I want to do, I like to do, I love to do, I feel called to do. But I noticed here in the last couple of months that I'm not quite on top of my time as I would like. And I feel like it's become a little bit of a stressor to me. So, Rebecca, you always over deliver in your comments and give so many wonderful tips and things to consider. And I know that you're on to something with block scheduling. I want to go on to Monica, because I think you also have something to share about maybe something that you do to really stay on top of your time and control the time, those precious hours that you have during the day, and not let time slip away or get the best of you, or have other people, externals, kind of pressing in on your time and telling you what to do, but instead feeling the confidence and the comfort that comes when you stay on top of that. So, Monica, do you want to chime in?
Oh my goodness, Victoria. I'm in the same boat as you with time management. I need time management.
Oh gosh, we've got to laugh about that then. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, but lately I've been using pen and paper to actually write out my schedule, because my phone is just not doing it for me. So I use pen and paper to actually write out a schedule, and I make sure I even schedule in my prayer time and my reading time, my studying time, and then I go to my business or my my other group times. I make sure I schedule those in there too. But I'm coming and right, there are a lot of distractions. Lord have mercy, there are distractions even during my set study time and prayer time. So I have to be disciplined. I'm praying about becoming disciplined in those areas, and not using my phone so much. And I've turned off the TV. I've done things to try to keep me in line, because I want to be in the right position, right where the Lord has me. So this time management is such a good subject. So just writing things out for me on pen and paper works best for me.
Very good. Yes, and I think that's some of what Rebecca said as well. Get it down on paper, set those boundaries, and then follow through. And I love what you said also, Monica, about prayer, because the way I'm feeling these days, I'm like, man, I can't step out without the Lord. I got to have him for everything. And I think I need to really just pour my heart out to him and say, Lord, help me with this, because I don't want to just keep chasing something that's glittering and thinking, oh, that's the next best thing. I want to slow down. I think, Rebecca, you said it, the one thing. Let's do the one thing that I need to be doing right now. And I recently, one of the devotions that I wrote for a devotional book that I'm hoping to get out this year was, it was the image of playing two square. I don't know if you've ever played two square or four square, or maybe with your kids, but you just, you bounce the ball into the other court. And so I had this image of, Lord, I'm just going to bounce you the ball, and whatever ball you put back to me, that's the one that I want to be doing. I want him to run my day. And I need that peace that comes when I'm fully surrendered to him and just in and under his yoke, and allowing him to lead me throughout this craziness and this busyness. I used to think that I was busy, like when I was raising my kids, homeschooling 4 kids and working full time, and all the practices and the homeschool co-ops, and I used to think I was busy. But I'm telling you what, I think I'm now busier than I ever have been. And some of that is the passion of the mission that God has kindled in my heart, and my desire to step forth in new ways. It's a very exciting season of my life. But I feel like I'm stretched a little bit thin, and that's where it gets a little trickier for me. So let me go on. And so we're getting some good tips here, because that's what I want to leave with our listeners. We know if we're struggling, then there are other folks struggling, and I want what we come up with, number one, to be validating to them in their Christian journey, to know that they're not alone, and we all kind of have these pain points in common, and maybe there are things that we've done to step through those and walk through those hard times. And so far we've got, get that morning routine down, whether it's prayer, meditating, journaling, time block it out, and set aside those designated hours or chunks of time every single day, every single week. Start small. Like you said, Rebecca, maybe just 3 time blocks a day. Start there, begin to think about what that would feel like, and then stick to it. And I think what happens sometimes is that gives us freedom in other areas, and suddenly we're like, oh, I did that for that hour or those 2 hours. I'm good there. Now I can kind of rest a little bit. And then also reiterating what you said, Monica, about writing things down, pen and paper. Get a visual there, a picture, that image of how we're going to come at our day. So let's go to you, Lanette. Can you offer anything here? Would you like to share a little bit?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm kind of new to Clubhouse, so let me know if I'm not doing anything right. But God is so good. The things, I really love what you've been sharing. And then the tip that I would say for myself, I pray first. Like, I'm not a morning person, but when I can get up, I really love to. And God's been trying to get me to get up at 4:30 in the morning to spend time with him. And it's been really hard. But if I have my prayer time with him, and it's different, I don't try to do the same thing. I'm very regimented, so he won't allow me to. I'll do devotions and then prayer, and maybe a devotion on YouTube as well, my book ones. But he also makes me not have the habit of beating myself up. If I don't get up at 4:30, I get up at 6 or something. So time management, I think you need to be flexible to the Holy Spirit first. And when things don't go that way, that you have on pen and paper, be okay with it. Let go of it. You don't get that phone call into mom or your sister. Be okay with it. The other thing that has really helped me, I came from a place very recently of my whole life crashed. Physically, everything went down, and it was just burnout. Lots of reasons, but I'm very stubborn too, and I feel that God utilized the situation to get me to a place where I surrendered everything to Him. So coming back from that, I now plan my days. I can do lots of things now, but when I could only do one thing, it was I'm going to make sure to have a bath every day, make sure I eat well because I was not hungry at this point, and do the dishes. I like to have a clean kitchen. So I plan things. I could do those things. As my health improved, okay, what's the next thing that's most important? And yes, I prayed over these things, but now as I'm feeling better, in order to put new things in, I do the same thing. Okay, Lanette, if you were back over there and you could only do one thing, what would it be? And so I'm adding things along the same way. So it's helped me to prioritize. And I find that it makes more effective use of my time because I just let go of things. Things are not the same.
Thank you, Lanette. I'm just scribbling my notes down here as you're speaking, and I really appreciate that perspective that you bring to the table. Flexibility is huge, and not beating ourselves up for not getting that 99 thing done from the get-to-do list, or making that call like you said. It's so important, and sometimes I can be pretty hard on myself, I think, personally, because I'm very driven. And sometimes, though, the flip of that is that the slightest thing that I don't think should take very long suddenly takes 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh dear, like a technical problem, for example. Those really get under my skin when there's just like one little thing that it's like, why can't I figure this out? And it should be so easy, but it's not. And it takes, way too long. And there goes that time. Those kinds of things really can get to me. And I have to just kind of take a deep breath and bring God right back into the picture and ask Him to show me. And the second point that you make about prioritizing, that's really, really important. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if you have a business going, Lanette, or maybe Rebecca, Monica, Bonnie, or Katrina, your businesses, just that prioritizing for business. Do you try to do the things that turn the dial on your business? How do you know, for example, like if you're in business, you're trying to generate revenue, but sometimes there are things that we do in our business that may not generate revenue. For example, some of the social media stuff. And I wonder how anybody, and this is a teeny bit off track, but how you all prioritize your business things and business tasks that you have to do. Do you only try to do things that bring in revenue, or how do you deal with all that? Anybody want to jump on that question?
We were actually just talking about some of this in the coaching program I'm in, and to succeed in their business, and it's not going to bring me any money because there's no affiliate marketing or anything else like that in it. I'm going to do that because I've been at a place where people have helped me, and I want to return it.
And I love your perspective there as well. And I'm with you on that, the give, and the serve. I think what I was referring to would be, for example, I don't know if you all know Canva, but you can create all these designs and images. And let me tell you, I love doing it. I absolutely love generating these images and finding these, changing the font and increasing this and adding this little animation. And I could spend so much time doing that. But that does not increase my revenue necessarily. It might make a catchy image on social media, or it might be, something nice to send to someone or whatever, but it's not exactly pushing the needle forward for me, or at least I don't think so. So that's kind of what I meant. Sometimes I have to be mindful of how I'm even spending that kind of time. And I find myself often saying, Victoria, you love to do this. And I think the remedy for that is to just give myself, sometimes I just say, hey, take 15 minutes and go play around on Canva and have fun. And I just kind of block schedule that in, or give myself a little outlet to do that because it's fun for me. But instead, and I don't try to beat myself up for doing Canva or creating those designs, but I have to be mindful of how I'm even spending that time. And, it gets a little bit sticky for me. If we could spend a little bit of time talking about procrastinating, because I think that's a little bit of my issue. I go to the fun stuff, and yet I'm like, I would rather spend my time on the fun stuff than doing some of the other necessary things that I really, really, really do need to do. And then all of a sudden, I've spent, 30 minutes on Canva, and I really needed to be vacuuming my floor or something like that. So I'm going to move to you, actually, Katrina, and you can even give us another tip. You've been here listening. You can chime in about that. But then if you also want to talk about how do you overcome just the whole procrastination trap?
Hi, thank you so much, Victoria, for having me on the stage with you. I love this topic because, like you and like the others, it is often a juggling process whenever we wear many hats and have lots of things happening in our worlds. So I, too, Bonnie, am in ministry, and I have kids still at home, and I have a side ministry as well. So wearing a lot of different hats, but I think I love each of the things that you guys have shared so far. And one thing I was thinking as you guys were sharing is I was processing how I try and manage all of these different things that I'm doing. I do a lot of time blocking as well. And a lot of times my time blocking is even sometimes thought in days, because I have certain days that I'm in my ministry on campus mode for the whole day, just really trying to prepare for Sunday, get ready for what's coming up. And then I have a couple of mornings a week that I really hone in on curriculum writing and my side ministry, which is Faith and Family Box. But I will say, Victoria, like you mentioned, I think that we all struggle at times with procrastination because, like you, there are certain aspects of the ministry or of my Faith and Family Box ministry that I enjoy doing more than others. And in those moments, I try to remind myself of the book that I read that was so influential for me about time management, which was called Eat the Frog First, and basically was talking about just what you were referencing in terms of procrastination, and that is to look at your to-do list and try and knock out the things that you least want to do first, and then do the things that you enjoy doing, because a lot of times those things that I least enjoy doing, I put to the very end of the day, or I want to put to the very end of the day, and then I end up not having as much time or the amount of time I need to sometimes complete those things. So that has really helped me to prioritize. And then I think someone already mentioned this, and it may have been you, Victoria, but I do love the idea of kind of giving myself a time limit and setting a timer and saying, okay, I too enjoy creating on Canva, so I can say, hey, I've got 15 minutes here. I'm going to use those 15 minutes to do Canva, but then I'm going to pull myself back to another aspect that I need to accomplish for the day. And I also love, I know someone mentioned, it might have been Monica, about using paper, and I love writing my to-do list and marking that to-do list off and seeing it accomplished, although there are things that carry over every single day. So I do, like you were mentioning, like some of you before me mentioned, giving yourself grace in those moments when you can't quite get it all done. But I think one thing too that God's really impressed upon my heart with my kids is, if I'm not careful, I can get so focused on all of my to-do lists that sometimes I forget about the relationships with the people right beside me. And so that's one thing that I try to really focus on, is remembering that God has a purpose and a plan for our family, and that my kids and my husband are really my first priority underneath God. So I really want them to love Jesus and to want to follow him. And so that means that sometimes my to-do list has to be put on hold till tomorrow so that I can minister to them and help them accomplish whatever it is that they're involved in at that moment, which is sometimes hard. And sometimes my son says, Mom, I'm graduating next year. You need to be spending time with me, not working on your Canva slides. So it is definitely a balancing act. And of course, in those moments, he brings me back to, okay, you're right. It's 8:00. Let me stop and spend time with you. So those are a couple of things that I would share, that the procrastination, working on eating the frog first, take on the task that you least want to do and just get it knocked out so that you can focus on the things that you really enjoy. And this is Katrina, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Katrina. Amazing. I love the thought of eating the frog first, because often, for me at least, those little pesky things that maybe I don't like to do they're emotional drains for me. And it could be just making the guest bed in the guest bedroom, something so ridiculously simple that takes all of 10 minutes that I could do, but I just keep avoiding it for some reason. I'll do it tomorrow. And even if I could just put some kind of, I don't know, just squeeze out what you said about relationships. You touched my heart when you said that, because we have to be ready for those divine interventions, those divine interruptions. And if we're not careful, we miss we're so task oriented, and I'm just speaking about myself here, but we can be so task oriented that we miss what's so important. It's being the Martha, right? In the Mary, what is that? We want to be a Mary and a Martha world. And I have to tell you, sometimes I have one son here at home, Katrina. Matter of fact, I may just start crying right now because he graduates tomorrow from the university. Yeah, actually, I don't know if I can talk about it, but what I was going to say is that sometimes I get up really early, and he gets up a little bit later because he's up, oh my goodness, he's up so late doing all this work that I go into his room, and he'll have an electrical engineering degree, and I look at his computer screen and I'm like, oh my gosh, Matthew, you are bilingual, because he is reading this stuff that looks so complicated to me. And I just am so proud of him, and I'm in awe of how he's using his brain and how God has gifted him. But sometimes I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing at my computer that he's like, see you, Mom, as he's going out the door to go to classes or to his work. And I'm like, just on, what is it called? You just, reflex. You just, see you, Matthew, or whatever, without even thinking about it. And there have been days when I've just kind of said that and not even looked at him. I mean, I'm ashamed actually to say that. And then once I realized, oh my gosh, my son's walking out the door and I didn't even look at him. I didn't even hug him. Or usually he comes in to hug me. I mean, he might say, Mom, don't tell everybody that. But even then, sometimes it's not a real hug. All that to say, I've jumped up before and run to the front door. And as when he's pulling out of the driveway, I'm like, Matthew, wait, let me give you a real hug that matters. So yes, thank you for that reminder. All that to say, thank you for that reminder about how important it is that we have these amazing people we love right around us. And we need to make sure that we're giving them the time that they deserve as well. So who wants to say something about all that? Anybody? Have I left you guys speechless? Is that you, Josh?
Yes, ma'am.
Go for it.
Thank you so much for inviting me on stage, and good evening to everyone, or good morning, according to where you are. But that's one of the main reasons I came into the room, because I seen time mindset, and that's one thing I'm working on and learning as I go, is how to balance my time. I'm a pastor, full-time pastor, and at the moment I'm studying to become a loan officer. And really, I have 3 kids, I have a wife, and just making the time for everyone, but also not forgetting to have time for me, I found to be difficult. My 3 kids, I have 2 boys and a girl. My oldest is 12, the youngest boy is 10, and my daughter is 8. But all of them have different personalities. All of them want me to do different things with them. And I'm going to look for that book. I think Miss Katrina had mentioned about Eat the Frog first, because I really need help with balancing my time, because I feel like sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I have too much on my plate, and I want to make sure I'm making time, for everyone. But that's all I wanted to share.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Josh. And do you actually do time blocking with your days? That's one of the tips that came up, was actually okay, here's my day. And, and it could be that you time block doing the same thing Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same time. For example, maybe you have 1 hour for your pastoral work, or 2 hours, or then maybe you have an evening where you do visitations. Maybe, I'm not sure what that might look like for you, but so it could be by the day that you're doing time blocking, and it may change every day, or you could have the same things that you're doing repeatedly, or that you attempt to do repeatedly every week. Do you actually do that practice already? I'm just curious.
No, but I'm loving hearing it. It's something I need to start doing, is time blocking.
Yeah, that seemed like that was mentioned several times as being a real key to helping us stay on top of time and actually controlling time, and not letting life just happen to us. In other words, it kind of, with the Lord, of course, we want to be, He has to be involved in all of this. That goes without saying, but just saying, Lord, you know the hours in my day, you know the things that I would like to accomplish, but I don't want to go anywhere that you're not going. So if you could just direct my steps, guide me by your Spirit, show me those things. But then there's the discipline of saying, this is what I would like to do, this day, this time, and so forth. And I do a little bit of that, but not a lot of time blocking. But I think it's probably something that I'm hearing several of the folks in the room have mentioned, and I probably need to consider that a little bit more and put it into play. I get distracted kind of easily, especially with my phone and notifications, and sometimes I get distracted by wanting to run off and do something that's kind of fun, and maybe I procrastinate for other things that are even more important. So maybe that would be something that you and I both could kind of put into play. I'm really kind of jazzed about hearing this, and just hearing how some of these other folks in this mastermind conversation are taking the reins and kind of staying on the top side of this whole time mindset. Liz, you're up on stage too. I would love it if you would just chime in. We're kind of getting a list going of time-saving tips and best practices, and how to do what's most important, and so forth. So would love to hear your feedback, or any comments that you'd like to share. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, I'm gleaning from everyone. And first off, I just want to say I have kids in the background in case there's lots of noise, so just warning everyone. But the time blocking, that is really helpful. I'm a mom. I homeschool my kids, and I'm also trying to start a business, a creative art business with the things that I make and create. So for me, I think what's helped is having on my iPad, I have this, I think it's an inbuilt thing on my iPad where it will tell me how much time I'm using in certain areas. So like it'll tell me you've used this much time on social media, you have used this amount of time on your creativity, and and different things like that. So for me to see that, just having that reminder, okay, Liz, you're maybe using too much time right now looking through social media. It's just that reminder for me. So I think even having apps that can help us remind us, like maybe we're overdoing it in certain areas, that kind of for me helps me with my time, because it's just that reminder that I've gotten maybe out of step with my goals or with what I need to do for the day. And but anyways, I don't know if that helps anybody, but that's kind of what's helped me, just keeping myself and my time in control a little bit more. The actual app that I have that's using, or actually I'm not even going to call it an app, but it's inbuilt in my iPad. So it automatically tells me, like, this is what you're doing for this and that. Even tells me, like, let me see. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, I can't do it right now. But anyways, it just tells me everything I'm doing. Well, let me look. Let me see if it'll tell me.
I love that. That's a really good idea. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I probably don't want to see that. Because
I know.
I don't know. I would be like, oh, Victoria, you're really, way too much time over here on this or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also want to go back to something that Josh said about self-care. And it's we spend so much of our energy and our time outpouring and giving and serving, and certainly we should be, but we also have to take some time and do that block scheduling. And I know, Rebecca, you're a big proponent of that, for that self-care and doing something that fills your tank. Maybe it's even allowing your brain to just imagine and to just enjoy God's beautiful creation. I walk every day around this idyllic Midway, Kentucky, taking Rico the Morkie, my blog mascot. He's just a little 5-pound dog, and so we walk every single day, weather permitting, and that's one of the times that I kind of disconnect and just enjoy what's around me. And it's so good for me to breathe the fresh air, to enjoy the sunshine and just the atmosphere. I have one other tip that I'd like to share, that's something that I do for when I'm faced with activities I don't want to do, but that I have to do. For example, I'm a college or university professor. I teach Spanish, and I've been doing that for 30 years, but I'm trying to come out of that Spanish and come into full-time ministry, and I'm also a life coach and things like that. And for grading, all my courses are online now, and I work at different institutions, but the grading sometimes can really, really, really be something that I dislike. And so I've trained myself, and this goes with self-care, because in addition to I need to take care of myself. I can't just sit at the computer, and I have to get up. So I do set my timer for about 15, depending on what the task is. If I really don't like it, then I'll set it for 10 minutes, and I'll grade for 10 minutes. And then I set it for 5 minutes, and I walk. I put a load of laundry in. I do something active where I'm standing up on my feet, moving around, jumping on a trampoline, doing deep knee bends. That's that self-care thing, because I want to get my 10K steps in. I want to have a healthy body, because it's also stress relieving to do those things. So I was actually surprised at what I thought, how much time I spent grading and how much time I actually spent grading, because these are the toxic thoughts that I would have centered around that task that I didn't really enjoy. I would say things like, oh my goodness, it's going to take me all day to grade those finals. And first of all, that's just not true. It doesn't take me all day. Now, it may feel like it takes a long time, but the truth of it is it doesn't take all day. And so I started challenging those thoughts about doing these tasks and doing the grading. And once I sat down and actually was timing it, because I knew how much time I was giving myself, because I was timing it and then getting up and then going back to it, it didn't take very long at all. I mean, maybe for final exams for 15 students, it might take a total of 2 hours. That's hardly all day. And so I had to start shifting my mindset on what was truthful instead of telling myself things like, this is so hard, I can't do this, or I don't want to do this, or it's going to take me forever to do it. Those kinds of things don't help me. They were really making it worse for me. So I shifted my mindset instead, and I was, Lord, your word says I can scale a wall, and with you all things are possible. So I'm gonna enjoy this process, this grading, this task that I have to do. Why? Because it is a signpost for me of so many good things. It means that somebody values my service. It's an opportunity to teach students something. Someone values my expertise, that they're willing to pay me for it. I get to enter the lives of all these students and try to help them learn, and I'm a part of them getting their degree at this institution. I mean, all of those things are true. And so I shifted my mindset to be grateful for the opportunity that I had before me, even about this task that I really didn't want to do. And now it's not so bad to do those things. It doesn't seem so bad. So anybody want to talk about doing something like, so what I'm trying to say is that I took a task I didn't like, but I mixed it with a self-care element of getting my steps in, and I put a very short timer on it, and then I was able to get a reality check on the time that it actually was involved in doing that task. So anybody ever done something like that, or want to respond to that?
Yes. Victoria, that is so good. Yes. I've done that kind of thing before, like gotten up and on something that I was working on and had to do, I did 20 jumping jacks or did some squats or whatever. Yes. And I love what you said about being thankful. It's like you reframed the whole experience when you did that. It's like calling it something else other than you were speaking words of untruth, and then you turned around and spoke words of life over it and dealt with the real reality of it. And I thought that was really powerful. So yes, I have done that, and I do that even when I'm doing my tasks around the house, like folding clothes, washing clothes, all of that. I'm doing other things that bring me joy, and I get in that state of mind that is a joyful state of mind. So whatever I'm doing isn't a drudgery. Yeah, I love what you said. That's powerful. Thank you.
Well, amen to you too, and what you just said. So thank you so much. And as we're closing out, I do have kind of a hard stop here at 1:30, but I'd like to know if we could just go around the room very quickly, and if you could tell us how we could support you, that would be awesome. Starting with you, Rebecca. How can we best support you?
Y'all can find me on, it's Rebecca C. Wilcox on either Facebook or Instagram. And I'm here. Please connect with me here on Clubhouse. Really, right now, the only thing I'm doing is connecting with Victoria on Clubhouse when she does her Clubhouse room every Thursday. So, I look forward to getting to know each of you better and seeing what we could do in the future.
You're up, Lanette.
Hi, I'm a Facebook newbie, and so because I don't have a place to connect, but if you're following me, I'm looking at doing some Instagram or something shortly. So Clubhouse is really the only place right now.
How about you, Bonnie?
I'm on Facebook, Bonnie Davis, and I'm here. That's the only place. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but that's about it for now. I will be, before the month is out, starting a room that deals with being prosperous, spirit, soul, and body, living to transform life. So
I look forward to connecting with you there.
Yeah, make sure you let us know. Tag me or something.
I will.
Yeah, we'll make sure we're friends on Facebook and everything. I would love that. Katrina, how can we support you? I know you tell us your podcast so we can subscribe and write a review for you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Victoria. So I have a podcast, Popcorn Moments, Faith and Family. We'd love for you guys to join. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My links for Twitter and Instagram are in my bio. So love for you guys to follow me. And then I have a resource that I think is so amazing for parents, because I'm a parent as well who struggled in this area even as a minister. And it's called Faith and Family Box. So if you want to check it out, you can go to faithandfamilybox.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And how about you, Liz?
Yeah, you guys, I'd love to connect with you. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram with my handle at Love Lettered Here. And it's in my bio here on Clubhouse. But basically what I do is it's just, I like to share God's word in art form. So that's kind of what I'm about. And anyways, but it was great connecting with all of you.
Thank you very much. And I just feel like my heart is a little bit lifted. I so appreciate the encouragement that everyone has shared. And I know that some of my listeners will really be touched as well, that they're going to love this and this topic, and it may get their, we want to inspire and kind of offer that hope. But we also want to be real, because we're real Christians, 21st century Christians walking this out. And none of us is a Sally super Christian, or at least that's what I call it. Or that person. I know I'm not. So I appreciate your frankness and all your encouragement. And I would also love your support at my podcast is Choose to Think with the number 2, available everywhere. And I would love to connect with you on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you want to look. My website is victoriadwalker.com. So I also have a lot of free content over there if you want to download the Ultimate Gratitude Guide, for example, and get on my list. That would be another way to support. So God bless you all. Thank you so much. And I do pray blessings over your day, and that the Holy Spirit would guide you and increase the hours of your day in ways that are meaningful to advance the kingdom. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming. And that's a wrap, Brain Changer. Thank you so much for tuning in. And say, if you like what you hear, please consider sharing this link to the show with a friend or a family member who you think might be encouraged by the inspiring and hope-filled messages that I try to put out every single week. So thank you so much for your support. And until next time, Dios primero y que Dios te bendiga. Ciao.